So I'm back home for the weekend visiting my family, and I wanted to show you an earlier version of the triangle pens that I've been using. These are some of the first ones I ever built, and I'm just going to talk to you about it. 2x4 bottom and top, very sturdy. I put the door in the center so that I wouldn't have to reach too far one way or the other to get in and catch a bird with a short net. Eventually I covered the backside with plywood, and I'd put nest boxes in there. When I first built them, I was just putting a tarp over the whole thing and pulling it back halfway every day. I've got a little door here that allowed me to check the nest box on the inside. And see, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I've got this for a handle, and I just tie it with baling wire. The nest boxes I used are old beekeeping boxes, and that one's actually setting a lot lower than what I normally would set them. I normally set them clear up there against that board. I always kept a can of oyster shell and grit next to the nest box for the hens, and I eventually put a roost in here to try and keep the rooster out of the nest box, and also to help with moving these. The way that I used to move these is I just step into the door frame and put this beam up here across my shoulders on my back, grab here and grab here, and lift it and carry it. As you can imagine, not good for your back. But the main feature I wanted to show to you was that these pens were designed to be used strictly as breeding pens, but I also used them as grow out pens from time to time. Is this little door over here with this rope. Now what I do is I'm a stickler for pair mating my birds, and I often would find myself in a situation where I wanted to run one rooster over multiple hens. Most people in that situation are going to do a trio mating or a flock mating, where you've got multiple hens with one rooster. Now, currently I've got a piece of board, move this out of the way here, got a piece of board holding that door shut. But what I would do is I'd take this, I called it the sorting chute, and I'd put screws in it, top and bottom, so that it would be firmly attached, and I'd run this rope through the wire here. And on the other end, there would be another pen the exact same way. So what I'd do is when I wanted to move the rooster, I would open this door down here with this rope, because it wasn't latched at all. The only thing that held it closed tight was this rope, which is to the inside. So what I would do is I'd open the door, maybe sprinkle a little bit of corn in here if they didn't want to come in right away, and the rooster and the hen would come in, and as soon as the hen would go back into this portion, I would then pull this rope and lock her back over there, and then I would open the door on the other pen and allow him to come through to the other hen. The other nice thing about this is when I was ready to take them out of the brood pens, I'd run them in here, shut the door, open this up, and they were easier to grab. We have a lot of predators in this area, and a lot of people who buy birds from us aren't necessarily show people, so they're not looking for, you know, super coddled birds that are you carry them around all day feeding them treats and that kind of thing. That's not the market that we had. So I tried to raise my birds so that once they were in hand, they were easy to handle and easy to control, but at the same time, they weren't going to just walk up to you and wait for you to pick them up. I tried to keep a hands-off approach and just let them be chickens. But yeah, not a whole lot left to explain. The sorting chute, this one was, I want to say 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. but I actually made them, as time went on, shorter. So I went about 3 foot on them, and I even went so far as to do solid plywood on these sides, just to kind of help with reducing distractions, because I've found out that sometimes if you're standing there and they see your legs, they're not real interested in going over there, but that plywood would prevent them from seeing your legs initially. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of one of those things, just like when you're walking around, you don't see things until you look up or down, and a lot of times I can sort birds just by standing behind a 4-foot piece of plywood or a door or something like that and let them do their thing, just like sorting cattle. You just swing the chute, door, and you're good. You don't have to pick them up and chase them down and stress them out. How well do these work? Well, I'll tell you. One year, I had a particular rooster I really, really liked, and I wanted to breed him over 14 different hens, pair mated. So what I ended up doing, or was it 15? It might have been 15. Anyways, what I ended up doing is I ran like 6 or 7 of these all the way down in the row this way, and then I put one this way at the end, then I brought a whole nother line back this way. And I just moved them from pen to pen every day. And then when I got to the end, I just have to kick open the big door and let him into the pen at the bottom of the U, I guess you could say, and then run him back through, and then do the same thing when I got to this end. I'd jump him across back there. Had really good fertility. Most people don't know about the fact that a hen doesn't have to be with a rooster every single day. Typically, I try to let my roosters cover the hens that I'm breeding them to at least once a week, but I very rarely use more than 2 hens per rooster anyways. So if I'm bouncing them back, every 2 or 3 days, fertility stays up pretty nice. But yeah, just a couple pieces of rope, couple doors, and make yourself this little sorting chute, and you can pair mate like nobody's business. So hope that gives you some ideas. The new style triangle pen that you've seen in my other video has the runners on it, and you could certainly adapt this version to it. The only problem is, obviously once you hook them all together, you can't really move them around. And also, where the new version has a barrel at the end, you're only going to be able to hook up 2 of them to each other, and that's it. So, maybe if I were to modify it, or if you were to modify it to where the barrel sat up above on like a stand, and you could slide that chute underneath it,